In front of me is all the meat from an entire Wagyu cow. And next to me is Rami. I'm Sumo National Champion. I've broken down this Wagyu cow into 10 different sections, each of which will be turned into a different dish for Rami to eat. Rami has taken down lots of 500-pound sumo wrestlers, but today he'll face his biggest challenge ever. You think you can eat your way through an entire Wagyu?
No. I know I can.
To successfully defeat this cow, Rami must finish all 10 courses. And first up, I'll be making sushi using a strip loin. Right away, you can see this is a perfect cut of meat for sushi. I'll take about a 1-inch cut off the edge of this meat, and despite it being Wagyu, it is so thick that it's actually pretty difficult to cut through. Then, before making the actual sushi, I'll trim off all of the edges, making sure to leave as much of the meat as possible. But don't worry, we're saving this fat to make some donuts for dessert. Once I've trimmed it down to this block, I'll cut it through the center just once more, and then it's time to switch out my knife and to cut nice thin slices for my sashimi. Once I got my slices, it's time to make my sushi. First, I'll take my strip loin and lay it in my hand, pressing it down just a bit in the center, almost sort of gently melting the fat down in the center of my piece. Then I'll grab my sushi rice and lightly roll it around in my hand, making sure not to press it down too hard. This goes into the center of beef where I then shape it, flip it over, and our nigiri is done. Rami, you ready?
Oh yeah.
Course number 1 is your Wagyu sushi. I just want to make sure that you know that all the meat that you're having today is Wagyu beef, A5, Kobe, and we have the entire cow. First bite.
So good. I'll cry now.
You're gonna cry?
I'm really happy, so I feel like I'm gonna cry.
Jabi! Oh, Jabi moment.
This was one of the most unnecessarily delicious things I've ever eaten in my life. After making quick work of it, the only thing left was one slice of bread.
Last piece of bread. Whew, that was a lot of coffee.
Breakfast was complete. Next up was Walter's snack. According to the article that I got Walter's diet from, his between-the-meal snacks consisted of a handful of candy bars. But how much is a handful? After a few Google searches, I realized that a handful could mean anything. Thankfully, I had something up my sleeve. All right, everyone. So I have a random number generator on my phone. To Walter, how many stored spring bars? The Fruity Pebbles chocolate bar. The craziest part, this had...
Man, I really gotta get a new joke.
Walter's lunch beverage was a large bottle of soda.
It's almost 5 p.m. right now. I'm having a bit of a late lunch, but we gotta get this show on the road.
Walter ate 2 large sandwiches for lunch, so I ordered the Subway Philly sandwich. Needless to say, I was a big fan. I was surprised because this actually tasted like an authentic cheesesteak. The combination of the steak, American cheese, peppers, onions, and mayonnaise made this a fantastic sandwich.
I gotta give a quick shout out to Subway. That was a 10 out of 10 sandwich.
Even though I had one sandwich left,
Woo!
I moved to the next part of Walter's lunch.
Now I gotta get on over to my mound of fries, which I'm gonna wash down with some sugar-free ketchup. It helps cancel out all the calories.
Unsurprisingly, the fries tasted like French fries. If you're new to the channel, I really love French fries.
If you guys know me, you know I'm team waffle fry, but to me, building a mound of waffle fries just sounded really weird. So I figured I would just make a mound of regular fries. Yeah, I have so many carbs inside of me. Woo.
Even though I was starting to get full, I still had an entire Subway sandwich to eat after this.
I gotta get on over to my last Subway sandwich right here, which is arguably one of the best Subway sandwiches on the Subway sandwich menu. Wow, that's so many vegetables. Why the f did they put this many vegetables on there?
Even with the unnecessary amount of vegetables, this sandwich tasted mind-blowing. But unfortunately, all this bread
dressed in dark clothing and moving with the careful steps of someone who didn't want to be seen. He made his way directly to press 4. David watched through night vision goggles. Thompson accessed the machine's control panel. The man clearly knew what he was doing. His movements were practiced, professional. Within minutes, he had bypassed several safety systems and adjusted the hydraulic pressure to dangerous levels. At exactly 10:47 p.m., Thompson triggered the press's emergency cycle. The massive machine roared to life, its hydraulic arm slamming down with tremendous force. If David had been standing in his normal position, he would have been crushed instantly. Instead, Thompson found himself staring at an empty workstation, and then he heard slow, deliberate applause coming from behind him. David stepped out of the shadows, his hands clapping mockingly. "Very impressive, Ryan. Your father would be proud." Of course, Richard Thompson always was better at betraying people than actually killing them. Thompson spun around, his face pale with shock. Who are you? David smiled. And for the first time, Thompson saw something in his eyes that made him take an involuntary step backward. "I'm the man you try to murder tonight. But more importantly, I'm Echo 77, and you just made the biggest mistake of your miserable life." Chapter 3, The Hunter's Web. The industrial press continued its deadly cycle, hydraulic arms crushing empty air, where David should have been standing. Thompson backed away from the machine, his face a mask of confusion and growing terror as David's words sank in. "Echo 77, Thompson's voice cracked. "That's impossible. You're just a washed-up factory worker." David's smile was predatory. "That's what your girlfriend called me. My husband's a washed-up factory worker," she said. "Crush him in the industrial press tonight. 2 in his head. No one will question a workplace accident." Thompson's eyes widened. "You heard. I heard everything." David began walking toward him with measured steps. "I know about your father, Richard. I know about Linda's real family connections. I know this whole thing was a setup from the beginning." "Wait, David. Let me explain." "Explain." David's voice turned ice cold. "You want to explain how you seduced my wife? How you planned my murder? How you thought you could outsmart a man who spent 20 years hunting enemies of the state?" Thompson bumped against a support beam, trapped. His hand moved toward his jacket pocket, but David was faster. In one fluid motion, he crossed the distance between them and pinned Thompson's arm against the steel beam. "I wouldn't," David said quietly. "Whatever weapon you're reaching for won't help you now." From his own pocket, David produced his phone and played back the recording he'd made earlier. Thompson's and Linda's voices filled the air, detailing their murderous plan with chilling clarity. "You see, Ryan, the thing about being in Black Ops is that you learn to always have a backup plan, and sometimes a backup for the backup." Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Thompson's face went